I'm fine. How are you?
I'm fine too. So this is number 3.
Yep.
So what have you been doing?
I've been working a little bit,
Are you
chilling.
still coding?
Yeah, yeah. So my coding school starts in a couple of days, so I've been preparing for that.
All right.
Then after 3 months, I'm gonna start working.
So the stuff that you've been doing is only preparing for the school.
Yeah,
So you have a base.
yeah, because I didn't know anything
Yeah.
before.
Yeah. That's cool.
Yeah,
So what kind of stuff have you been doing?
mostly front end development, if you know what it is.
No,
It's
I don't
like
know.
HTML, CSS, and JavaScript.
You're doing some kind of an online course for.
Yeah. Also, I'm watching YouTube clips and
Yeah.
Googling and
Yeah.
stuff.
And are you doing fake real projects?
Yeah.
And have you finished any of them? And
Yeah, but they're really small projects, so I haven't
Yeah.
done anything big. So
yeah,
I do different tasks.
yeah, it's nice. You're preparing that
Yeah.
well for school. I mean, we said we would talk a little bit about the school system anyway,
Yeah.
so that was a good
Mm-hmm.
segue to that. How do you feel about the schools studying right now as an adult compared to when you were a kid?
I love learning. So I learn best when I have a purpose with it. When I was in school, I didn't know why I should learn all this stuff, so I wasn't motivated.
Yeah. And you feel the stuff that you learned at school is helping you now, or is it
No,
no?
only the basic things,
Like
like
what?
basic reading and writing and basic mathematics.
Mathematics. Because we said we would talk a little bit about the school system and how it works right now. And just to clarify, I'm not no expert. I have my ideas, and I have 2 kids. One of them is 20. The other one the girl is 13. So my experience with school is my own school time, and then of course their school time.
Yeah.
And I feel the school system is not made for everybody. It's not really working. I think the way it works right now is, I mean, there are a bunch of different systems. Like my daughter went to Montessori, the Montessori one. I don't know if that's an international thing, but here in Sweden, they're a little bit more chill about how they work with kids. And I don't know exactly, but I know, for instance, they go at their own. The kids go at their own pace, and they do stuff that they like. And I
Yeah.
think that's more
Yeah, I
the
think
way
it's
it should
better.
be. Yeah.
Definitely.
If you ask most people, most things you learn in school you don't use
Yeah.
ever. There's even it's not a meme, but it's on TikTok. Kids are asking their teachers to say 3 things they use every day. So, for instance, they're walking up to their, I don't know, math teacher, and they're saying, "Tell me 3." Math is not a good example, but still, this is what they're doing. So they're walking up to the teacher and asking, "Tell me 3 things you use every day." And the teacher's like, toothbrush and my pillow and whatever, my shoes. And the kids are asking them, "Notice how you didn't say math," or "Notice how you didn't say
Yeah.
whatever."
Yeah.
Whatever subject they are teaching, and the teachers freeze and get embarrassed by the question. And it's true. I mean, how much of the geography lessons do you need right now? I mean, you have everything at the palm of your hands. You can just Google it and find it.
Yeah, so we don't need to be hard drives just download information. We can get all the information we need.
when we need it.
Yeah,
So why have that stored like all the time? It's no point. And I feel most kids are miserable
yeah,
at school. They don't want to go. So, and that's a good chunk of your life spending, and it's the beginning. So I think there's room for improvement. Definitely. Yeah. So, uh, and what do you think could be like a good way to approach the school system instead of the way it's being done now?
First of all, I think that we should have shorter days, because kids, they cannot be focused for that long. I used to work in a school, and the last classes, everybody was tired. I was tired. All the other teachers were tired, and all the kids were tired. So we need to have shorter days. Like in Finland, they have a 3-hour school day.
3 hours.
And they say they have the best school system in the world. They're very progressive.
3 hours is really short.
Yeah, and the rest of the time they do fun activities. And their philosophy is like, you should have fun, you should learn how to feel good and function as I.
Is that like a special school? Or is that the state? State
I'm not
owned?
sure. I mean, a while back ago it was pretty strict, but
Yeah.
now they have changed a lot.
Okay.
So
Maybe someone living there can write
yeah,
something in the comments and let us know how it works right now. But yeah, that sounds amazing. That would be a good start.
Yeah.
Shorter days. But so there, if it is exactly like that, then they study for 3 hours, still the same subjects, right? So it would be math and
probably
social science and all of that,
Yeah.
and then
I don't know how it is in older ages, but I mean
yeah,
the younger kids.
the younger kids.
Yeah,
And that would be a good start for sure. One thing that I think could, I think, like we were talking, like we were saying before, there's no need to downloading all that information and spending so much time. Like I was helping my daughter do some homework a few days ago about the Roman emperors, and and I mean, the information is there if you want it, if you need it, if you want to learn about it. It is there, so it's available. But what's the point making her do it right now, choosing one emperor, doing work about it? I mean, the good thing about it is she's learning how to be responsible, get a task and finish it. That's the good thing about it. But I think there are other things the kids could learn that actually would be better for them, because there's so much drama in the schools, there's so much fighting, so much and why don't we use the time for that? Teach them how to behave, how to be kind to one another, what's okay, what's not okay, and all of that. And also we touched upon this a little bit briefly before, but I understand it's really hard for the school system to prepare them for what's coming next, because they don't know, right?
Yeah.
Nobody knows what's going to happen in a few years and how the world is going to be, if we're going to have a basic income for everybody, like some countries are trying. Isn't Finland trying that too?
Yeah. In some area they're trying that, and so far the results are good. Like people, instead of just becoming lazy, people become very active and do what they want to do.
Yeah.
And one guy, he started like a film editing company.
Yeah.
So he edits film for people all over the world.
Yeah.
And people are thriving.
Yeah, and there's a politician in the States. His name is Andrew Yang, and he's trying to. I mean, I don't think he's moving forward. I don't know how the political system works over there or over here, for that matter. But one of his things was global basic income for everybody, so
Mm.
everybody would get $1,000 every month. Uh, as long as you are 18 and above, you will get it. So it doesn't
Yeah.
matter if you're rich, if you're poor, if you're and I think that would be a good thing. I'm not sure yet. I mean, maybe you know more about this, but the arguments for it are really strong, I think.
Yeah.
Like you said, because the skeptics are saying that people will get lazy and they will get depressed, that people need to have a meaning, have a work, somewhere to go, and but getting $1,000 a month doesn't mean that you will sit at home watching Netflix. It just
No.
means it gives you some kind of base to to grow
Feel
upon.
calm.
Yeah, feel calm and start
Yeah.
doing whatever you want to do.
Mm.
If you want to bake cakes for the rest of your life, right now you can't do it because
Yeah, I think it's like a waste of resources. I mean, human resources to not realizing one's dreams. Because I think if everybody had the belief in themselves and also the possibilities to act upon their dreams, they would create great things. So I think that would change the world.
and it feels like right now there's a way to do it, since we're letting AI and robots do most
Yeah.
of the work. They're working on companies like assembling products, and you have AI you have AI answering the phone at companies. So and soon you will have driver-free taxis, driver-free
Yeah.
trucks, and so all those people could do something else with their life. But of course, they need to find something else,
Mm-hmm.
and one way to let them find that thing would be to give them a basic global income. But I mean, I'm for it. I hope that works. Now we're moving away a little bit from the school system and all of that. But I think
I think they're interconnected,
yeah, yeah, for sure.
definitely.
Yeah.
Because school is supposed to prepare you for life. But as you said before, we don't know how it's gonna be, so we cannot prepare them for that. But what I do think we can do is to teach them how you function, like teach you about yourself, your mind, and how to be creative, how to overcome obstacles, how to have a confidence, how to be calm, these kind of things.
Yeah. So you could basically like narrow it down a lot from what we have now. So I think you
Yeah.
could like remove most of the. I mean, you have kids who love math or love something else. Let them do it.
Yeah.
You don't need to make everybody do it.
Yeah. I actually heard in Egypt they had a school that during your whole period of school, you don't have any grades, you don't have any specific topics or classes. The only thing you have is that you need to finish a certain amount of projects. So the kids they did a project. They wanted to know about the stars. So the teacher were guiding them. Okay, how can we learn about the stars? So they came up with they wanted to go to some kind of museum where they have this big telescope.
Yeah.
So they wanted to go there. It was in another town. So they had to like arrange the trip there. They rented a bus. They came up with money for the bus. They went there and they did the project. So that was one project.
Yeah.
So during the whole period, they just do what they want to do.
Yeah.
And that's more like reality.
Yeah. But how would they do it if I mean I can't see all the kids wanted to do the same thing. So maybe
I don't know.
a few of them wanted to do that,
Yeah,
but a few of them didn't.
Maybe they can do separate things also.
Yeah.
But also they need to learn how to work in a group.
I mean, let's say we are creating the school of the future. So what subjects do you think should be included in that? So I mean, gymnastics should still be there. I don't know if it should be in the way it is right now. I don't think. I think a lot of, like, my daughter doesn't like gymnastics at all. Um, I don't know if,
Maybe they could have like different kind of gymnastics.
yeah,
Like not everybody likes to do sports, but maybe some people like to do dancing or yoga or things
yeah,
like that.
that's true. They could
So
expand on it, so
like in
people have,
reality, if you want to exercise, you have a lot of choices to do it. Not everybody has to go and play soccer or
yeah,
football or anything like that.
that's true. Or walk in the
Yeah,
forest,
walk
or
in the forest or something.
yeah. So yeah, so that could be one thing. So gymnastics or sports should be expanded to more, but that means more teachers too,
Yeah.
right? So you need
Or maybe you can have the same teacher, but not everybody has have to go at the same time. So you have soccer at that time, something else at that time.
so maybe you mix the different ages, and maybe not too much, but the grade above and the grade below maybe
Yeah.
can be together, and all the dancers get together and do dance, and all the, yeah, that would be better for sure. I don't know, maybe it is like that somewhere. I don't know.
Maybe it
Here in
is.
Sweden, it's not anyways.
Yeah.
So that could be a good improvement on that, and then it would be good to have one, um, what do you call it, subject or lesson or whatever
Nice.
it's called. You could have one that's one that teaches the kids how to tackle problems and overcome problems,
Yeah.
and like you said, work together. But I think they are doing that, but they're making the kids do stuff that they don't want to do.
Yeah.
So I don't know if it's effective. So how would something like that look? It's like,
I I've been trying for many years to do classes like this in school, and I've been doing it for some times. And I teach them about their inner dialogue, and I teach them, yeah, a little bit about science and how you can do it, and I bring up examples. So I did it before Christmas. I did it one class in a school, and this was I think they were 13 or 14 years old. Actually, a little bit too young for my subject, I think. But I did this like I was supposed to do a survey about it.
right.
So I did it, and maybe 95% of the class wanted to have this as a subject.
Yeah.
And some
What
of
was
them,
it called?
I call it självkunskap in Swedish. It means self-knowledge.
Yeah.
That's my name, what I call it now. Maybe it
Mm.
will be called something else. So if I wanted to change the school system, I maybe wouldn't change everything at once. I think I've been working for getting this subject into schools, learning about your inner dialogue, because it affects everything in your life.
So can you give me an example of what kind of things you do to teach them that?
Yeah. Okay. So I taught them affirmations, if you know what that
Mhm.
is. I told them a story about. Have you heard this story about these two wolves?
No.
Like it's a Native American grandfather that speaks to his grandchild,
Okay.
and he says, "Inside of me, there's a war between two wolves. One of them is evil," and then he explains a little bit what it stands for,
Mhm.
and one of them is good,
Yeah.
and that's like positivity and everything. And the kid asks, which one will win? He also says everybody has this kind of war inside of them, and he says, which one will win? And he says, the one that you feed. So I told this story to the kids, and then I start to I bring up examples. Now I don't remember what examples I have. From my own life, when I went into a cafe and I wanted to speak to a woman that was crying, but my one voice was saying like, no, you cannot go there and speak to her. You're gonna bother her.
Yeah, and
And
that's really Swedish, by the
yeah,
way.
yeah,
That's
yeah.
a
But
really
the other voice said, "Yeah, but I want to. I have this feeling. I want to speak to her." So I went back and forth, and I did it. I spoke
yeah,
to her, and I said some. I don't remember what I said, but I comforted her,
yeah,
and it was a good experience. And this applies to everything in life.
yeah.
Everything you want to do, you're gonna have a voice
Mm.
that. Yeah, you're gonna have different voices. So I teach them about this, and then I taught them about affirmations. Do you know
Yeah.
what it is?
Yeah, the basics of it, but you can
Yeah.
explain it maybe.
But you say what you want to happen as if it's already done. Like you can say, "I'm confident," and then I also teach them. You can write them or you can say them. You write it, and then you also listen to your response. You might hear another voice saying, "No, that's not true. No, you're not good enough." And when you hear this voice, it's good because it comes up to the surface of your consciousness, and then you can flip it. So basically, these things I taught them.
Yeah. Yeah, so self-knowledge would be one. Expand on the sports and gymnastics to make to include everybody, not only the ones that want soccer. I think math needs to still be there
Yeah.
because maybe it doesn't have to get so advanced as it is right now because you barely use it. I mean, you use the basics of it. Language, of course, needs to be there, but even language.
Language is good because if you are good at a language, you also it gives you like freedom in your way of thinking. Language and thinking are very interconnected.
Yeah,
So if you have a good vocabulary and you can speak fluently, you can also think fluently. So I think it's good to learn.
at least in one language. Yeah, yeah, that's so true. There's a lot of things that maybe you feel or you think and you can't put into words. And once someone puts them into words, you're
Yeah.
like, ah, I get it, I understand it.
Yeah.
I felt like that my entire life, but now that I heard the words, some words,
Yeah.
a sentence, this makes sense.
You could I read a couple of books about words and the brain. One book is called Words Can Change Your Brain. And it says if they made these tests. One person, they were in this brain scanning machine, and the person hears different negative words, and then they measure the effects. So when they hear these negative words, they start to produce stress hormones, and the brain changes. But also the other way around. When you hear positive words, you don't get an instant reaction from positive words because there's no alarm, there's no hurry or anything. But for when they listen for positive words for a longer time, they change their brain, and they become more. The brain becomes, it functions better. So, for instance, if you ask me how I'm doing, if you ask me,
How are you doing, Marco?
I'm feeling bad, versus I'm not feeling so good. I'm saying the same things, but I use different words. And when I say bad, I trigger all the associations to bad. Even if my conscious mind don't remember all my associations, but my subconscious mind remembers that. And it creates a little stress. So just by changing the way you use your words, you trigger different kind of chemicals in your body. And this also, in the long term, changes your brain and your health. So maybe one could put in these kind of aspects of language into school also.
Yeah.
And eventually also changes your behavior.
Yeah. Yeah, sounds. I like it.
There's so many cool things to learn.
Yeah.
So that's why I'm working to get this subject in school.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of other things also. I spoken to many people that have many great ideas. As I said, this with the projects, I spoke to a guy. He wanted to teach kids to cooperate together and
Yeah.
how to make projects. It's great. I'm not an expert in all the subjects, but when it comes to the mind, I am an expert. So this is the one subject that I want to bring into schools.
Yeah.
And I know this will affect everything because um, I've been coaching people since 2009. And when you coach somebody, I don't have to know what they know. I could coach a golfer even though I don't know anything about golf because I'm teaching that person to use their mind to benefit themselves.
Yeah.
So if you have this knowledge, you can use it for anything, everything.
Yeah, that would be a tool that they can actually use for,
Yeah.
Like, it would improve their lives for forever.
Yeah.
And put them on the right path. I feel like a lot of kids these days are also depressed,
Mm-hmm.
and I don't know if that's something here in Sweden or is worldwide, but it feels like you hear about it more and more often.
Yeah.
Like when I was a kid, that barely happened. I
No.
never heard about
We
a
barely
friend
had-
of mine that was depressed. Like
we barely had knew those concepts even.
yeah,
Like nowadays, kids are even burnt out when they were really young.
yeah. Do you think that kids were depressed back then, but we didn't have a word for it? Or
Yeah, I mean some were
yeah,
definitely, but it's more today.
yeah. It feels like it's a
Yeah.
lot more. Like I mean,
They did a study. I read about the study and when I was involved in this school project, and for the last 10 years in Sweden, between I think it was like 13 to 17 or 18 something, like mental health issues has increased with 100% during the last 10 years. So it's it's definitely increasing.
and what do you think it is? What's going on? What's causing that?
One thing could be that we have constant input from like media, and we have access to input all the time,
Yeah.
and this stresses the brain. Like if your brain becomes scattered all the time, you get hooked into something here, then something, you get a text, and you like watch something.
Yeah.
This scatters the brain and it stresses you. That could be one thing.
Yeah.
But also maybe there's other stuff also. Maybe it's also because we need to renew our school system.
Yeah.
Maybe it worked back in the days, I don't know, but
right now it's not working.
no.
I watched this speaker. We talked about it on the phone, and you actually sent me the links. But I had watched them before. What was his name?
Sir Ken Robinson, I think.
Sir Ken Robinson, and he has some TED talks and stuff like that, talking about creativity and that was really interesting. He didn't go into detail about how to achieve, but I think his ideas are quite in the right lane of what we are talking about.
I mean, he's been teaching creativity for many years, so that's what he do. He teaches that in the school, so he knows how to teach it.
Yeah, and he told a story about I wrote it down. He told a story about a choreographer called Gillian Lynn. Gillian Lynn is the name, and that was a interesting story. Nowadays, that every time someone is a little bit like outside the box, they gave them the stamp in the forehead of a ADHD.
Yeah, and also ADD, and there's
ADD,
different.
Yeah, and he told this story about Gillian, who had a lot of problems at school. She she was constantly moving. She couldn't sit still. She couldn't concentrate. And her mother took her to the doctor because she wanted to know if something wrong with my daughter. Why is she not being able to sit still like the other kids? And they left her in one room and they went to the other room. And they watched her from the other room. And the doctor, as he walked out, he put some music on. They were watching her, and she started dancing. And I don't know for how long they were there talking. She danced all the time.
Yeah.
And the doctor told the mother that there's nothing wrong with her. She's a dancer. You need to let her dance.
Yeah.
And now she's one of the biggest choreographers of the world, like really known, multimillionaire. And nowadays people say she has ADHD, and give her some medicine, give her some antidepressants or something to calm her down. And I mean, maybe that helps for some people, but I really believe that we need a different way of approaching kids that are hyperactive, and not the way. And I work with kids too, like for a brief period of time. So I'm no expert or anything like that, but you can really. I mean, some kids are really focused. They know what they want to do. I used to teach them how to make films. And they were really young, so they were like 8, 9, 10, and we had a small green screen studio, and I taught them how to make small films, like short films and stuff like that. And some kids are really focused; they know what they want to do, and they learn really quick. But some other kids are all over the place, and I didn't have the tools. I didn't have the tools to cope with that. So I kind of froze. I felt I couldn't do anything for those kids, and I feel like maybe teachers feel like that too.
Yeah.
Like they want to help these kids, but they don't know how to work with them. Or maybe they do. Or maybe there are some teachers that are better with that than others. I don't know. But the way I saw it, I felt I couldn't help those kids. And the kids that really wanted to be there, wanted to make films. So those, as a teacher, you focus on those kids more because they really want to learn. So it becomes easy to help them. And the other ones just jumping around, screaming, doing whatever they want to do, throwing stuff. It's like, what can you do for them? So maybe we need to start by changing our teachers or how our teachers work, or this is an idea I have, that the school system is not changing because maybe whoever chooses to become a teacher was good at school, and they liked it the way it was, and they become good, and they loved it. They were great students, and then they become teachers, and they keep doing what worked for them.
Yeah, maybe that's true. I mean, there's different kind of learning styles. Now I've heard a little bit about this, like people start to learn about this, but some people learn mainly through the body, like doing something with your body, and not by sitting still. And some people learn by images, and some people more by words. So the way a person speaks, you can speak in a way when you paint up images. So those people will listen more. So what you say, maybe the teacher speaks in their own style, and some people matches that, and some people don't. And I also heard like these kids that have this energy, they need to move. It's very good for the brain. It's very important for their development. And also, when like kids start to daydream, not only kids but adults, we do that sometimes. And especially with kids, people snap them out. Like, come on, attention, here I am, listen to me.
Yeah.
but it's a very important thing for the brain because it goes down
Yeah.
into the alpha waves. And when you go into the alpha waves, the body regulates
Mm.
hormones, and the immune system starts to work. And it's very important for the development of the brain to be able to go down. So if you guys that listen have kids, and when they zoom out, let them zoom out
Yeah.
until they come back by themselves, because that's the way they process things. And so we heard that it's bad to daydream and zoom out, but it's actually an important aspect of.
It's really interesting that ideas like this are being used in different areas,
They're
are
being
being
used in reality.
they're being used in Reddit. But what I mean is, when you're writing a script for a film,
Yeah.
you know that people can only take information in chunks of whatever amount, and then often the way you do it is you give them information, and then you go down in intensity, and you let them
Absorb it.
absorb the information,
digest.
digest the information that you have given them. Because if you keep throwing information at them, or
Yeah.
a lot of stuff is going on, then they become stressed and they can't
Yeah.
absorb anything.
It's
So
it's the same with public speaking. You
yeah.
cannot just like drop all the information to people, because information goes in there and out.
Yeah. So it's interesting. We use that knowledge in some areas, like for entertainment. Like
Yeah.
we write a scene where a lot of stuff happens, and then you let them maybe show a shot of some birds like flying, and then a car driving through
Yeah.
a small village, and then you start a new scene, and that way people are like, oh, what did just happen 2 minutes ago? I need to think about this, and that goes in line with what
Yeah.
you're saying with kids. We
Yeah.
should
Because if you do a movie that suck, people won't watch it. If
Yeah.
you do a class that the kids think suck, you will still force them to do it.
yeah,
So that's the difference.
exactly. They still need to be there.
Yeah. But
And
I was thinking when we talked, when you asked me about the school system, I actually have some ideas. You could flip it. Like instead of going to the school and learning classes and then go home and do homework, what if you got videos, like interesting videos for 50 minutes, and you watch them and you learn in a more entertaining way, and then you go to school and you do the homework together with the teacher? Maybe that would be better.
how do you mean?
Like if you're gonna learn about the Roman Empire or whatever,
Yeah.
instead of sitting in school, listening to the teacher, then going home and doing the homework, what if you listen to the video, a video of that class at
Yeah.
home when you choose to, and then you
Yeah.
go to school and you do the homework together with the teacher?
Yeah,
Then you get like helped out.
that's true. That would be. That said, I still feel like stuff like that shouldn't be taught.
Now I
At
just
all, but-
took that
yeah,
as
yeah,
an
but-
example. It
but-
could be math. It could be something else.
Yeah, but I do like the flipping, the idea of flipping it and letting them absorb the information part on their own,
Yeah.
and then having someone to talk to about it and break it down into, instead of someone standing in front of them and telling them 1932 blah 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 and 1945, you
Yeah.
know. So that stuff they can read,
Yeah.
and then they can ask the teacher why did this happen,
Mm-hmm.
how come, how
Yeah, they can have like a discussion.
a discussion.
And I was also thinking when I was working as a music teacher for 4 months, and I had the same problem as you. Some kids were like all over the place. Some kids were focused, and for me it was a problem. It was too big classes and it was too long, way too long. And I had kids that were from 2nd grade to 8th grade, and sometimes I had like 1 hour and 45 minutes classes with the small kids. Way too long. So I was thinking, what if we had like small groups, maybe 3 or 4 children, and you go through, or maybe you collect the whole group or something, and you watch a video for 15 minutes, and then the kids can go to another room and they can play, and you bring in 2 or 3 kids at a time to sit with a teacher. Maybe you can have few teachers, so you have like different groups, and you discuss the video to check that they got the message. And then they go out and they play, and there's some kind of other teacher that's there arranging some play or something, because even adults cannot focus for more than 15 minutes. After 15 minutes, we need to stop and let things sink in.
15 or 50?
15.
15.
After 15 minutes, the focus starts to
drift.
Yeah.
Ah, interesting. Yeah, something like that would definitely work. What do you think about the salaries? Do you think teachers are getting paid enough? Because what they are doing is, first of all, it's really important.
Yeah, and it's really tough. I mean, when I was working with that job, I was so tired.
Yeah,
after a day.
It's really tough. So, first of all, they should get paid more, right? And I don't know how it works right now, but they should have the possibility to improve on their craft, on their learnings by themselves going taking courses and learning new stuff and because right now the teachers are like the nannies, I feel, of the world. We're dumping our kids over to them because we need to go to work, and then we get an email saying your daughter needs to finish her homework, and that's it, and we help the kids. But they're doing such a big job of bringing the kids up, so everything goes hand in hand. So if people could be home more, shorter work weeks for the adults, global basic income, so you can be home more, shorter days for the kids, better pay for the teachers, let the kids learn about the stuff that they're good at, they do want to learn, because that maybe puts them on a path that will help everybody later. If they can develop that side of themselves.
I was thinking about this video you talked about with Sir Ken Robinson, and he says when the kids go into school and when they come out of school, they have like a lower intelligence when they come out, when they did a certain kind of intelligence test. So that's why he says, like, does it kill creativity? And also he said, like, historically, the reason why they gave like public education, that's when the society went from like a farmers society to an industrial era. So they needed people to work in their factories and to follow orders. So that's why they took away everything that will develop the human being as a human being, and just follow orders, just take in information.
Be good at that.
So there was like a hierarchy in the subjects. Like the creative arts were on the bottom. But actually, science now knows that if you develop the creative arts, you develop your intelligence. So, the school system. The school system was made to get us into factories, but now the school system haven't changed, and the reality is totally different. And so we don't know how to prepare them for the reality.
I mean, the stuff that we're talking about could be a start, and maybe some schools are testing that because you hear about it more and more.
And also another thing I was thinking about, so many of the really successful people are like dropouts. I read this book, Think and Grow Rich. Have you heard of it?
No.
It's like a classical self-help book. It's a bunch of collected stories. There was a guy, he was interviewing successful people for 20 years. And a lot of those people didn't go to school. And also you didn't go to school for a long time. And you're very like driven. You do stuff. You get things done that people that went to school doesn't get done. And also like companies like where Apple and also like Elon Musk, Tesla, they say that they don't see any difference in their employees that have a degree and the ones that doesn't. They perform just as well.
Yeah.
And it seems to be a new kind of revolution in the recruiting business.
Yeah.
For instance, this school that I'm going to, the programming school, they don't look for background. And I was applying for a job via a recruiting company, and you do certain amounts of tests on the webpage, and you write some information about yourself, and the recruiter won't know your name or your age or your gender or nothing about you. They only know about your results until the end of the process. So they cannot base anything on like who you are. I mean like when it comes to nationality or gender or anything like that.
Interesting.
Yeah, so they're revolutionizing their way of doing stuff. And when it comes to programming, the best programmers didn't go to like university necessarily.
No.
Many people learn by themselves, and they're just as good.
Yeah.
And also, there's a similar story about Edison, similar to the one that you told about this choreographer. Have you heard Edison's story?
No.
Yeah, he was kicked out of school, and the teacher sent a letter to his mother that said like, "There's no hope for him. He's never gonna become something. So he cannot come here to school." And his mother told him, "Yeah, I got a letter from your teacher saying you're too smart for the school. You cannot go in the same school with the others. So I'm gonna school you at home." And he became like one of the most successful inventors of all time.
Talking about flipping the story.
Yeah, because he believed that.
Yeah.
And also another thing that I read about in a book about the brain, if a kid like cannot sit still and disturbs the class, and the teachers gets annoyed with him, and he gets branded as a bad kid.
Yeah.
And if he believes that, he or her, then his brain will develop in a way that makes him not so smart.
Yeah.
If he gets to hear that you're not smart, then he won't become that smart, if he believes that. So that's, again, the things with the beliefs. They're so strong. They physically changes the brain. It changes your intelligence.
So that should be our focus is
one of the fundamentals.
Yeah.
That's like another study I read about. The things you say to others affect, I don't remember, maybe 10 to 20% of your results.
Sorry.
It's okay.
I was moving my chair.
Yeah.
Sorry.
The things you say to other people affects maybe 10 to 20% of your results. But the things you say to yourself affect 100% of your results. So if you say, I cannot do it, if you have that mantra, you won't be able to do it.
And I mean, it's quite clear the stuff that we're telling ourselves we can do it. Most of the time we won't do it.
Yeah, there's a famous quote. I think it was Henry Ford. He said something like, whatever you say about yourself, it's true. Or something. I don't even remember it. But if you think you cannot do it...
Look it up.
Yeah, I'm going to look it up.
I mean, everybody, look it up. If teachers are watching this, they'll be like, we're trying our best. We're doing... We're I mean, working like crazy, trying to get these kids to learn and let's make clear nobody's saying that they're not doing a good job, because
Yeah.
obviously I feel there is a change in the world, and people are getting more conscious about these things. And I think it's starting with schools. Like I said,
Mm.
Montessori is doing this kind of work, where they're letting the kids find their own rhythm. But most schools are not. They're making kids, they have a schedule or a plan for the semester, and the kids need to hit all the marks.
Yeah.
And if they don't, they fail. If they do, they're good. And so that should change. Like,
Hmm.
that should change now, I feel.
Yeah. Did you know that maybe 1 or 2 years ago it was this close, like the teachers was this close to go into a national teacher strike
No, I don't know.
in Sweden
Okay, why?
because they weren't pleased with their terms. I know a teacher, and she said like, yeah, I myself worked as a teacher, and you get exhausted. You get so many different tasks to do that's not related to the classes. So I was a substitute for 4 months, so I didn't follow the rules. I came to my classes and then I went home, but they had to stay. They have to even come before and stay afterwards to have meetings, like pointless meetings all the time, paperwork all the time.
So we need more teachers.
We need more teachers, smaller classes, but also less crap for them to do that's not related to the classes. As you said, maybe they should spend their energy to expand their craft,
Yeah.
hone their craft, but there's no time because they get dumped with a bunch of other things. And also, teachers, they have this long vacation for 3 months almost because there's no school. But instead of just giving them that vacation, they have to fill out the other hours. That's why their days are very long. They have to be there long before the school starts and also after.
Okay, so they're actually working for that time that
they have to compensate. So I was supposed to work 75%.
Yeah.
And then I was like, hey, my schedule is like 100%. And they say, yeah, but this is 75% when it comes to school. So I was working 100%, like, but I actually went home after my last class. I just went home.
Yeah.
I was like, why should I stay here for 2 hours and do nothing?
Yeah. Yeah, makes no sense.
Yeah.
So, more teachers, smaller classes. Try and let the kids, not let the kids, but find what kids are good at and help them improve that, and the things they really don't want to do. Maybe if it's not super important, maybe don't make them do those things because it's a waste of time. I can tell from my own experience with my kids, the things that they don't like, they don't want to do.
Yeah.
There's no way of pushing that into them.
No.
If they want to learn that later, they will. And it comes to like anything. It comes to they're tasting food, they're tasting music, they're tasting whatever. There's nothing you can push into them. You should listen to this. You should like this. This is good for you. Or this is it's impossible.
Mm-hmm.
You can. I mean, you can present the different things to them, but they need to do it at their own time.
Yeah.
So maybe that could be that could help a lot. Basically, not having a bunch of kids depressed and miserable at school, because a lot of kids are miserable.
Yeah. And that's that's really important to feel good.
Yeah.
You need to learn how to feel good, and that's something you can learn how to do. If you learn how your nervous system functions and learn how to affect your body and your chemistry and everything.
Yeah, I mean, it's such a big chunk of your life if you're going to be, if you're not, I mean,
Yeah.
everybody goes through things, but they're spending so many hours at school, and a lot of them are not liking it at all.
Yeah. For
They,
me, it's like it took me 20 years almost to de-school myself. So
Yeah.
it's the formative years of your life. That's when you're most like when you can.
susceptible. I
Yeah.
never get that word right.
Yeah, that's when you like are like a sponge
Yeah.
for being, for shaping your personality and your beliefs and your abilities.
Yeah.
And then if you don't fit into that system, which people, not everybody will do, you will get like an invisible brand of you're not good enough.
Yeah.
And that's then you have to take that away. You have to take those patterns away, for can take you many years.
Yeah. So such a waste of time.
Yeah. So if I knew what I know now when I was in school, I would quit school as soon as possible.
Yeah.
As soon as I was allowed to quit, I would quit.
And when is that here in Sweden, you think?
It's when you start after 9th grade.
After 9th grade?
Yeah, so 1st grade to 9th grade is mandatory.
Okay. So after that, you don't.
Yeah.
But you continued 3 more years, right?
3 more years, but I wasn't really. I went to a like music class, so I only focused on the music, nothing else. So
yeah, then maybe you did it.
Yeah, I mean.
In your own way, but you did.
Yeah, I did it in my own way. But if I knew what I knew now, I could have done that with a better conscience, without hearing like, "What are you doing with your life? What's gonna happen with you?"
Did your parents go to what was their school?
Yeah, they went to university. Both of them are like computer programmers, so they're like, yeah, for them education was important, but at the same time they were very chill about it, so they didn't pressure me or anything.
How about your brother? Did he go to after 9th grade? Did he continue?
Yeah, he continued. He went also to music school, and then after that, he went to me also. We both went to music schools.
Yeah.
But then it was like we chose that.
Yeah.
And it was only music, not anything else.
Interesting. Okay, so let's see. We talked about the school system and our ideas, our thoughts on how that could improve, and I mean, like everything, let's talk about it, because you can agree or not agree with us, but kids are miserable at school. There's no denying that.
They've had meditation classes in several schools in different countries, but I've read about it in America.
Yeah.
And they had really good results. But this was in schools where they were like troubled areas. The kids have heard like gunshots and seen stuff, so they were stressed. So it gave them a really good result. They learned how to breathe and how to relax themselves.
Yeah, so meditation can also be one. I mean, we could talk on this subject forever. Yeah. So, like I said, you don't have to agree with everything we say. The point is maybe to get people to talk about it. To what are your thoughts on the school system? How maybe your kids are doing just fine and you don't see this as an issue at all. You think it's working perfectly, and so maybe we don't have to change everything. Yeah. Because for those who the school system is working just fine right now, maybe it should be one part of the school that should maybe continue, kind of like it is now. But let's not forget about the kids that are miserable and not doing good. How do we help them? And maybe the stuff that we talked about could be one thing, and maybe other things too that are still Like,
I mean, there's so much knowledge about the human behavior and psychology and everything now that's not being implemented into school, and it's a little bit weird. It's like we know this is good for the development, but still we don't use it in
we don't
schools.
use it.
Yeah.
It-
So in this case the science is way ahead of school.
Yeah.
How the school is.
So maybe try to implement whatever science comes up and whatever we learn about the human behavior. Try to be a little bit quicker into implement it into
Yeah.
the school system, because if we know it works, why don't do it?
Mhm.
So listen, thanks a lot for this time. So this is the número 3. We will be doing a new one soon, and stay tuned, and thank you for watching.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.